Hey there, everybody. It's your old pal Michael. Welcome to another special edition of Sports Talk, Super Bowl edition once again. We're going to be bringing you the 5 worst Super Bowls of all time, in my opinion, today. There have been some blowouts in the big game. Just like in the last video, I talked about the best 5 Super Bowls, in my opinion. There have been some great games. Most of them actually have happened pretty recently, but there have been some big-time blowouts as well. Just some sleepers in the Super Bowl. Could call it the Sleeper Bowl. So we're going to talk about those top 5 worst Super Bowls in my opinion. And once again, this is just my opinion. So if you happen to differ in this, whether you disagree or agree, comment in the comment section below. And I did not say that actually with the previous video with the top 5 best Super Bowls. Go back to that video. Tell me, was there a Super Bowl I mentioned in there, or was there a Super Bowl I did not mention in there that was one of the best of all time? Comment in that comment section as well. So, without further ado, here's the top 5 worst Super Bowls in my opinion. Number 5, Super Bowl 6. Dallas Cowboys defeated the Miami Dolphins 24-3. Why is this one of the worst Super Bowls of all time? Well, the reason happens to be it is the only Super Bowl where the losing team did not score a touchdown. That's right. There's out of the 49 that have been played so far, there's only been one team in Super Bowl history that did not score a touchdown. That was the Miami Dolphins in Super Bowl 6, losing 24-3 to the Cowboys. And the Cowboys were really good on defense that year. Roger Staubach was the quarterback, so of course Dallas had the talent there to defeat the Dolphins. And the Dolphins the next season went 16-0, of course, or I think it was 13-0 was the regular season, and they won 3 games to actually finish 16-0. So for the first perfect undefeated season, and the only one ever in NFL history. So the Dolphins did win the next year, but they played, in my opinion, one of the worst of all time, Super Bowl 6. Coming at number 4 on my list, Super Bowl 35 between the Baltimore Ravens and New York Giants, where the Ravens won 34-7. Now, there was a time during this game it was pretty close. It was 17-0 at one point, and yes, I know that isn't really close, in the third quarter. Ravens have just scored a touchdown, and the ensuing kickoff was taken by the Giants all the way back for a touchdown to make it 17-7. However, any momentum the Giants just had was gone because on the next play, Jermaine Lewis took that kickoff back for a touchdown for the Ravens. So it was the 3 quickest touchdowns ever scored in Super Bowl history. It took 36 seconds for those 3 touchdowns to be scored, 2 of them by the Ravens. That was the only time the Giants cracked the scoreboard was that kickoff return. They lost 34-7, as I said. Kerry Collins, the Giants quarterback in the game, threw 4 interceptions. One of them was returned for a touchdown. Giants just played awful. Ravens, of course, had a really, really good defense that year. Ray Lewis was the leader of that bunch. But it was a pretty sleeper downer of a game because of the blowout. All right. Oh, of course, by the way, if you were a fan of any of these teams, then you obviously, of the winner, you loved that Super Bowl, so that wouldn't be one of your worst of all time. Just thought I'd throw that opinion in there. The third worst Super Bowl of time, in my opinion, how about Super Bowl 20 between the Chicago Bears and New England Patriots, where the Bears won 46-10. Probably the highlight of the game was when William Refrigerator Perry scored a touchdown. Otherwise, the Bears, they were fired up for this game. No doubt about it. Had the best defense probably in NFL history coming in. And, of course, they routed the Patriots. They were heavy favorites over the Patriots. Double digits, I believe, 10 points they were favored by. Turning point of the game was when the Bears were able to sack the Patriots quarterback deep in their own territory. He fumbled the ball. Bears kicked a field goal to make it 6-3. Took a 23-3 lead at halftime, and they didn't look back ever since. Bears, of course, they had a lot of fun this game, unlike the Patriots, but a lot of fans probably didn't just watching that one. Unless, like I said, you're a Bears fan. The second worst Super Bowl of all time, in my opinion, Actually happened 2 years ago. Super Bowl 47, the Seattle Seahawks against the Denver Broncos, where the Seahawks won 43-8. I remember I was so fired up for this game. I thought, yes, Denver going to win their first Super Bowl since, 1999. I think that was the last time they won. Because I know they beat the Falcons. And I should know this. I mean, for goodness sakes, they are my favorite team. I know they beat the Packers. And I know they beat... Okay, I think it was 1998 was the last time Denver had won a Super Bowl. John Elway. And I was thinking, this is it. Peyton Manning's going to get our Super Bowl. Broncos are a high-powered offensive team. They're going to take it to the Seahawks, who are an okay team, but they're not the best. This isn't going to happen. Denver's going to win. What do you know? First snap of the game, over Peyton Manning's head in the end zone. Broncos covered up for a safety. 2-0 Seattle leads. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is how the game's going to start? Well, then Seattle kicked a field goal, made it 5-0. And I'm thinking, well, if they're still in the game, it's 5-0. That's a one-score game. They can do this. Seattle ends up picking off Manning later in the half. They score a touchdown. I believe this halftime score was like 22-0. So, I mean, the largest deficit overcome has been 10 points in the Super Bowl. I'm thinking 22 points. There's been teams that have blown leads like that before. This could still happen. And then Percy Harvin returned the third quarter opening kick for a touchdown. And at that point, I knew it was over. 29-0. I couldn't believe it. I mean, this high-powered offense of Denver just was looking terrible. Absolutely terrible by the Seattle defense. So, yeah, I was really disappointed, really upset. Didn't even care to see the commercials really after that. Although I did watch the game to the end. And I got to thinking, is this going to be the first team in Super Bowl history to ever be shut out? And by golly, they almost were. Before Denver scored a touchdown and then a 2-point conversion. Yay, they got a 2-point conversion. They're really coming back. That's what I was thinking at that point. Like, why do you even bother going for 2? But that was the reality, in my opinion, the second worst Super Bowl of all time. Then the worst, Denver was in it as well. San Francisco was the opponent. Joe Montana, the quarterback. Jerry Rice, the receiver for the 49ers. And they destroyed Denver. 55-10. That was in Super Bowl 24. Yes. What an awful game unless you're a 49ers fan. Joe Montana threw for 5 touchdown passes in this game. John Elway was sacked 6 times by the San Francisco defense. Denver was just overpowered. More overpowered, in my opinion, than what the Seahawks were. Because San Francisco mainly did it with their offense, with, Joe Montana throwing 5 touchdown passes. The Seahawks did it with their defense to set up their offense. But, I mean, what an awful game, in my opinion. 55-10. I mean, the biggest blowout in Super Bowl history, 45-point difference. Just awful. Unless, like I said, you're a 49ers fan, which they were favored heavily in this game, 11.5 points. So it's not a surprise that they ended up winning. Of course, when Denver faced Green Bay in the Super Bowl, in Super Bowl, what was that, 32, 32. Denver was actually an 11-point underdog in that game as well, but that time they actually won, which, like I said, that's one of the best Super Bowls of all time. But there you go. Worst Super Bowl, in my opinion, of all time, San Francisco against Denver in Super Bowl 24. So, like I said, was there a Super Bowl I did not mention that happened to be worse? Because, I mean, I could have done a top 10 list for this, and I would have been able to stick 5 more in there. So was there one worse than what I mentioned? Comment in the comment section below. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to my channel for more content. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Links are in the description below. We'll be back at you again tomorrow. We'll be talking about the top 5 plays in Super Bowl history, and there have been some really good ones. Most of them have happened probably recently in my memory just because they're the ones that I saw. Otherwise, like I said, this is Michael Loudon. Over and out. Till tomorrow.